Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm your boy Numbskull, and I've got a trip report my friend finally got around to finishing and sent in for me to read to you all on the channel. It's really detailed and interesting, and I'm excited to experience it with you all. I'll waste no more time. Let's jump into this fucker. I figured I'd finally write this down while it's still fresh because this one really stuck with me. For context, I'm not new to psychedelics, and I've used ketamine plenty of times on its own, but this was my first time combining the two intentionally and actually letting the experience unfold instead of trying to control it. The setting was my apartment at night, lights low, phone on silent, nothing to do the next day. I wanted it calm and familiar. I dropped one tab of LSD that was advertised as 150 micrograms. I've had this same batch before, so I trust the dose. I let it dissolve under my tongue for about 15 minutes and swallowed. No ketamine yet, just wanted the acid to take the lead. For the first 40 minutes it was the usual come-up anxiety mixed with anticipation. Body felt a little electric, slight tightness in my chest, thoughts started to speed up, but still manageable. Around the 1 hour mark, visuals started creeping in. Walls breathing, colors getting deeper, patterns starting to show up in places they normally wouldn't. Mentally I felt clear but very alert, like my brain was wide open. About an hour and a half in, I was fully tripping. Visuals were strong but not overwhelming. Closed-eye visuals were geometric and colorful, with lots of motion and very fluid. Music sounded incredible and very emotional. I felt connected to it in the way acid does, where every sound feels intentional. My thoughts were introspective, but not dark. I was thinking about my life, relationships, choices I've made, all of it without judgment, just observing. 2 hours in is when I introduced the ketamine. I weighed out about 40 milligrams and did it intranasally in 2 small lines. I didn't want to overdo it and lose the plot right away. The ketamine came on fast, like it always does. Within 5 minutes, I felt that familiar dissociative warmth spread through my body. My limbs felt lighter and heavier at the same time. The acid visuals immediately shifted. Instead of sharp patterns, everything became smoother and more dreamlike. The room felt further away, like I was watching it instead of being in it. This is where things got really interesting. The mental state changed completely. The racing psychedelic thoughts slowed down and stretched out. It felt like time was folding in on itself. I wasn't confused, but I also wasn't anchored to normal reality. I laid back on the couch and closed my eyes, and the visuals turned into full scenes instead of patterns. Felt like I was drifting through memories and abstract spaces at the same time. Not reliving memories exactly, but more like the emotional essence of them. Physically, I felt almost weightless. My body was still there, but it didn't demand attention. Breathing was automatic and deep. There was a strong sense of peace, like everything was exactly where it needed to be. No euphoria in a manic way, more of a quiet contentment. Music sounded distant but huge, like it was coming from inside my head instead of the speakers. After about 40 minutes, the ketamine started to fade. I could feel myself slowly reconnecting with my body in the room. The LSD was still very much present. I decided to do a smaller redose, about 20 milligrams, just to ride that space again without fully dissociating. This time the transition was smoother since I knew what to expect. The visuals became softer again and my sense of self loosened. At this point, my thoughts turned very abstract. I wasn't thinking in sentences anymore. I was thinking like concepts and feelings flowing into each other, if you know what I mean. The idea of identity felt quite strange. I didn't feel like I was gone. I was less defined, like was a point of awareness instead of a person with a name and history. It wasn't scary at all, but if anything, it was comforting, if I had to describe it. There was a moment where I opened my eyes and looked at my hands and they didn't feel like mine. It wasn't disturbing or anything, they felt unfamiliar, like I was borrowing a body for the night. The room looked like a set piece. Real, but staged somehow. Depth perception was warped and everything had a soft glow around it. Colors were muted, but rich at the same time. Emotionally, I felt very neutral in a good way. No anxiety, no sadness, no overwhelming joy. I remember thinking that this combination takes the edge off of LSD in a very specific way. The ketamine removes the intensity of the self-analysis and replaces it with observation. Instead of digging into thoughts, you kinda float above them, in a way. As the ketamine fully wore off again, the acid started to feel stronger by comparison. I was around 4.5 hours in at this point. Visuals sharpened back up, patterns returned to surfaces, and light started leaving trails when I moved my head. I didn't take any more ketamine after that. Felt like I'd gotten what I needed from the combo, and I wanted to finish the trip sorta grounded. The rest of the experience was calm and reflective. Damn, excuse me guys, I'm kinda fucked up right now. I spent some time journaling, which felt surprisingly easy. Thoughts came out clearly instead of tangled. I ate some fruit, and it tasted incredible, like each bite had layers to it. Body felt a little tired, but it was relaxed. I didn't have any nausea or a headache, just sort of a slight dissociative afterglow. By the 6 hour mark, the visuals were fading and I felt mentally clear. The come down was smooth. I didn't feel drained or overstimulated. I went to bed later that night without trouble and I slept quite deeply, like a baby. Looking back, the combination felt powerful but respectful. It wasn't chaotic or overwhelming. It felt intentional, like each substance filled in gaps left by the other. LSD brought the color, meaning, and perspective, while ketamine brought distance, calm, and emotional neutrality. I wouldn't recommend it casually or in a social setting, but in a controlled environment with experience, it felt like a valuable exploration. It's one of those trips that doesn't hit you all at once with lessons, but days later you realize it shifted how you look at things. Not dramatically, like a mental reset. I'm glad I approached it slowly and listened to my body the whole time. Definitely not something I'd rush into again, but also not something I regret experiencing. And that's gonna be it. What a banger. I'm glad you guys dropped by and joined this party. If you want to stick around, a follow and or subscribe would be very much appreciated. Sorry again, by the way, if this one sounds different. I'm absolutely gone off the gabs today. If you enjoyed like I did, a like would be phenomenal. And turn on those post notifications so you don't miss anything coming up. Stay frosty, stay curious, and stay safe out there. I'll see all of you fuckers in the next one. Peace.